Hi, I'm John.
And I'm David.
And you're listening to The Small Town Boys.
And this is the 80s Archive Podcast.
Everywhere you go, everything you see, someone say you know it's a tragedy. Find another place, kids who can't play here. Don't put any lips to there. You know it's gonna be alright if you stick together. We're gonna have a fine, fine time if we stick together. No more mindless empty days.
In this edition, we bring you another one of our Spotlight episodes where we talk to a cult figure from the 1980s who wasn't in the music business. Our guest tonight is a jack of many trades. If he's not travelling through time in Doctor Who, sailing the high seas in the Onedin Line, pretending to be a caveman in Stig of the Dump, or stealing an ambulance from Holby A&E in Casualty, he can be found living a mild-mannered life in the west of England. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome to the show Mr. Keith Jayne. Good evening, Keith. How are you?
Good evening, boys. I'm well. Thank you very much. Thanks for the invite.
This is a big one for us. It's a big one for you because what did Stig of the Dump mean to you as a kid?
Favourite programme by a mile. That and Grange Hill.
The Stig of the Dump thing was just a gift that keeps giving for me. I mean, I hadn't read the book, to be honest. One of the questions people ask me, did you read that book at school? Honestly, I wish I could say I did, but I didn't. I wasn't allowed to tell anyone for quite a while because it was the first adaptation, and I didn't want to spoil it. Kind of raise expectations really with anybody. This was going to be quite a big thing, and they were in the middle of adapting it all. I was sworn to secrecy. My mum was a teacher, and I knew a lot of teachers who used it as a class reader. Once you start talking to them about the story, I actually did not realise the impact it would have on my life, really.
Right.
Because it's like 40 years ago. People are still talking about it. I still go to schools now to judge Stig cavemen dressing up and that type of thing. And it's great, I mean, they did do a follow-up in the 90s. I did it for Thames, and, that was a good adaptation as well. I'm obviously not just saying this, but people always tend to remember the original.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I've been lucky in that respect, very lucky.
I remember being at school, and because I think it was sort of 10 to 13-year-olds, it was on the curriculum for the TV tie-in adaptation, which had you on the front cover.
Yeah.
If I could travel back in time 25 years and go, you're going to be interviewing that bloke soon. That would be so cool.
I think we've said that about most of it. Yes.
Oh, God, yeah. You're all box tickers for us, just sort of rekindling our childhoods. But thinking of things that were on the curriculum when I was at school was stuff like Day of the Triffids was a big one for us. There was another one that no one...
Kill a Mockingbird?
To Kill a Mockingbird was there, but also we had to study Our Day Out, Willie Russell, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. And there was another dreadful American book called Goldenrod.
It wasn't a porn film then.
No. Christ. And we're off 9 minutes in. Keith, taking us back to the beginning, tell us about your origin story. Where did you grow up? Where did you come from?
A big part of my story, John, is that I didn't grow up. I had an accident when I was 4 at home, and I tripped over and smashed my head open on the door. There was a big old cut in the front of my head. Still got the scar now. So it's like touch and go, really, as to, whether they get me to the hospital on time and all sorts of stuff. But when I was stitched up, it healed, etc., etc. But as time progressed over the next year, 2 years, it became quite evident that actually I wasn't growing very much, because when the school photograph is always a giveaway, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a big lad in the club, or he's small, court hero, And then people were saying to my mum, who was working at the school as a teacher, Pat, Keith he's quite small, isn't he? He's not really growing very much. And in the end, Mum and Dad kind of took me to the GP, when you could get an appointment. They did some tests on me, and I was an inpatient and an outpatient at Great Ormond Street Hospital for 11 years.
Right.
Because what had happened was that the accident I'd had stunted my pituitary gland. It stopped working. And so I had all sorts. So, I've a lot to thank Great Ormond Street Hospital for. And there's also not such a great part of that too, because I had injections for 11 years. It was an absolute nightmare. But ultimately, when I got to the age of 16, I'd already been in TV and theatre stuff for about 4 years. And my selling point, or my USP, was that I was still small and still looked about sort of 3 or 4 years younger than my real age.
Sure.
But the problem was that 15 years later, my agent said to my mum, once I'd had a fair degree of success, can you stop giving Keith these injections, because they were working. The growth hormone that they were giving me was actually working. And so I got to 5'4", and that's still small. And my agent, Jim Collins, he was Phil Collins' mum, she said to mum, just please stop the injections, because otherwise Keith would lose his appeal to directors and producers.
Oh,
so I stopped it. We stopped the injections. That was all choice. Yeah, fine, that's fine. So I carried on, and we did okay, on TV and stuff.
Yeah.
But after 15 years, I had a letter from the Department of Health saying that they noted that I'd been an inpatient and outpatient at Great Ormond Street Hospital between 1965 and whatever it was. And as such, and I got this letter, and it said, you may have contracted a fatal illness, which is CJD, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease.
Because of the injections?
And because of the injections. And what had happened, they'd looked back and seen the batches of the medication that had been given to the children, and realised that there was a batch in there where some children sadly passed away from CJD, and it linked back to the treatment that I'd had during that period. So this kind of very difficult time, really, to be honest. But what happened also was that the papers got hold of it, the journals got hold and said, hang on, at that time, I've been in Onedin Line and on TV, really, and they said, that bloke's from Murphy's Mob, or that bloke's whatever I'd done. And they asked me, I did a few interviews. Thing is, boys, I never actually realised what I was doing. I thought I was trying to raise the profile of all the families of the children like me that had that.
Sure.
But actually what I'd done in the meantime was actually, I wasn't going to get any more work, basically. Now, at that time, I was between kind of child actor and going into young adulthood, if you like.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to get jobs in this business when you're dead. When you've got a casting director, they want you to be here for episode 2, don't they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the problem was, on the ITN News, it was on one of the old 10 o'clock chimes or whatever, did a little piece on me and Sam, my wife now, saying this could be the last time you see Keith on your screen.
Jesus.
Because of this issue.
Right.
And so whilst it did raise the profile, I just came out of the business. That's really why. I know that's one of your questions, why did you come out? And I felt it was hard at that time for me to get work. I think you need to be extremely lucky. I think I stayed in Murphy's Mob too long. When I was doing acting, I liked doing different stuff. I liked testing yourself by doing different things, not stuck in something. But the other point was that with 96, 97% unemployment, even back then, in the business, you get offered a third series, which I wasn't going to do with Murphy's Mob, and then a fourth series, and we were rivaling Grange Hill.
Right.
It was written to rival Grange Hill. We were doing quite well. And so it's the kind of security. The other thing is, in the third series, I was playing 16. I got bloody married. Right, I was 23. You suddenly got, things like mortgages. You can't suddenly just go, actually, no, I don't think I'll do that series because I like living on nothing. So that's kind of why you haven't seen me for a bit. But obviously, I've survived. Sadly, quite a few didn't.
Yeah.
But it did kind of stall my career. And to be honest, I came away from it thinking, I'm not going to beat this. I need to go and lay low for a while. But the business that I went into was financial services, and you can't walk away from that because you've got commitments to clients and stuff. And so I stayed in it. And but now I've done 35 years out, and I'm looking to come back in now. So things like doing these fun things with you boys is great for me. I've been lucky because some of the stuff I've done, like Doctor Who, like Stig, has lived on, and things like Talking Pictures TV has given us a kind of resurgence of stuff. And people are saying to me, Keith, did you used to be on so-and-so? Did you mean so? Like, and so it's kind of nice in a way that this thing's being brought up. I'm keen to get back into it, and I've started doing a few bits and pieces and things like that. And I'm grateful to you guys really for giving me the opportunity to tell my little story. I've told it to a few people.
It's kind of niche for us to look at the 80s the way that we do, but incorporates everything from musicians to engineers to producers to actors to dancers and playwrights and the whole 9 yards of the arts, really, because we were absorbing that when we were younger. So why wouldn't we want to talk to everyone? If that shines a light on on people's career, then that's fantastic for us as well.
You know, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, always have been, and it's my favourite programme of all time. But as you get older, you start to absorb the credits a little bit more. And if someone strikes a chord with you, it's a bit like directors. If you see a film that's directed by Tony Scott or Steven Spielberg, you want to actively find out more about their work and find out other projects they've done. And it's the same with actors. If I see something like, you know, The Awakening, episode 1, credits roll up, Keith Jayne, and you go, what else has he done? You know, you do a little bit of clicking about. I don't know if you've ever come across an actor called Will Barton, who was in Doctor Who.
I listened to the podcast.
He's got a hell of a story as well.
He has.
He's mad as arseholes. I love him to bits. He openly admitted that when he came out of theatre school, he found it quite hard to A, get an agent, then B, finding work. As you might have heard, he didn't know about sending letters out to people and getting sponsorships and this, that, and the other. So yeah, that's why you're here, Keith, is because we want to know about your story. We're fascinated. You played a part of, certainly of my childhood, certainly of Dave's. That's why you're here, man. And we're honoured.
I appreciate that.
Same with Gary Shale. He had a story to tell.
Just quickly before we play the first track, touched on it already, but you had an agent and your agent was talking to your mum. At that young age when you were working in TV, I guess that answers the question. Your parents were supportive of you going into the arts.
It's a good question, David. They weren't at first, but only because my dad was a policeman, my mum was a teacher, so they're good, solid jobs. And it wasn't that they didn't want me to do that. I think they were nervous about me doing it because I'd always shown an aptitude for art and drawing and etc. And our next door neighbour used to be a commercial artist. He's got some work hanging in Buckingham Palace, so he's a good guy. And his son Gary, he's a very renowned photographer. And I got into grammar school. I didn't go to stage school until I was 12 and a half, 13. I got into grammar school, and because of my size, I was bullied there. That wasn't a good time. And I had to develop a sense of humour to kind of get out of the scrapes I was getting into. And Mick Gary just said to my mum and dad, he's always around here making us laugh, and he's not had a great time at grammar school. Why doesn't he go to a stage school? Why doesn't he actually go and instead of being a little man, why doesn't he be a little big man? You know, because we think that he could. So it's down to them, really. I have to say at this stage that actually there was this theatrical bent, shall I say, in my family, because my granddad, there's a guy called Jimmy Croom, and he was kind of the UK's answer to Fred Astaire. He was a solo tap dancer at the age of 16 at the Palladium, and so it was in my blood, I suppose.
Oh, wow.
Once I started doing it, the whole thing, I think, was Upstairs, Downstairs.
Right.
It was my mum's favourite programme, so of course, you know, you do no wrong then, can you? You know?
Yeah.
So she was, so she went up to the studios and not do very much, to be honest, in it, but it was, you learn your trade, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
Hold on tight to your dream.
ELO, the band the Beatles could have been. Hold on tight. Yeah, as John said, that's the first time that somebody's chosen ELO in the series. So yeah, very good spot. Big tune for you, Keith?
It was a big tune, yeah. It's funny because when you guys asked me to come up with some tracks from the 80s, there were a lot of songs there that were still hung over from the 70s, sort of thing.
79.
It was still, yeah. So having a look back, it was interesting because I actually did a spreadsheet. This is how sad I've become. I've done a spreadsheet of all the programs that I'd done for that 10-year period, and I was trying to cheat by going, well, in October, November, I think it was Half a Boy, Half a Man came out with Nick Lowe, and that was I used to love that. And then so the ELO song, yeah, okay. So that was off the Time album. That was during the time I was doing Sig of the Dump, which was July 81. It was after the Onedin Line, and one of the lines in it is when you see your ship go sailing, hold on tight to your dream, which is, and what had happened is after the Onedin Line, I was in it for 2 years. I became known. More mature people used to recognise me then, because before it'd been kids stuff, you know. So I had a different kind of audience. But I always wanted to have. I'd never played a lead in anything. I was a supporting actor, which was fine by me. But my dream was to do something where I had the title role, and then when Stig came along the year after, it was Hold On Tight to Your Dream, and that actually happened for me.
Brilliant.
So I always takes me back to that time where I went between the adult or more mature series, established series, to something where I became really quite nervous about it because, as I said to you before, I've not read the book, but the series and the success of that series did kind of rest on me, and also the director. It was the first adaptation, and it's very difficult to say nothing for 2.5 hours,
Yeah, right.
right? Potentially.
Yeah.
But we managed to pull it off somehow. With Richard Hanford, he and I just came up with the fact that Stig should actually say something. He should at least mean to say something. So it was us that came up with that.
Whereabouts was it shot?
It was shot predominantly around Dorking in Surrey.
Okay.
I've got a very good friend now called Kim Stevens. She's tells me that it's called Stigsville.
Oh, really?
Oh, lovely.
Because that's where the original quarry was. And that's where the old black Humber went over the cliff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Robber's old Humber went over the cliff.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And the only other place it was filmed was in the Thames TV studios,
Right.
where they built a massive polystyrene cave. That's where the jars for windows were, handles and stuff. But all the outside stuff we did in Dorking. We didn't really go much further than that.
You're 10 again, aren't you?
That's brilliant. I remember reading in Looking magazine. You must have
Yes, it
done.
was in that, Dave. It was in
yeah.
that, yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I was talking to John about it today, but there was some sort of quote, and I think you said I got some very funny looks stopping at the petrol station to buy whatever it was, dressed in your furs and your boots, and
You've
and
got
that
a hell of
came
a
back
memory.
to me like a bolt of lightning.
Well, I'll tell you what had happened that day. What had happened that day was that England were playing that night, right? And I needed to get back pretty bloody quick. And I lived in Harrow, North London, and it's a bit of a trek from Surrey. But I didn't. I just jumped in the car. I had a tracksuit bottoms on, but I'd forgotten that I got the chicken bones around my neck. I'd still got the bloody wig and stuff on, and the makeup girls go, "Don't you? No, I've got to go. I've got to go. I've got to go." So off I went. Realised, shit, I'm out of petrol as well. So there, got out, and someone had told me once that I looked like Shirley Bassey on drugs.
Mate,
Oh, brilliant.
amazing.
Oh, I
And
love
so
it.
I did. I went into the petrol station, and at that time, to make me feel even more of an idiot, no one had seen the show on television, of
No, of
course.
course.
Was at that point, some people would think, what's that guy got on with? Is it a fancy dress or what? You know? So, and I also had funny shoes on, furry shoes and stuff
Yeah.
over my trainers. So, but anyway,
He's
got
got
good
some
memory.
issues.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't call the Linden Centre there and then. Brilliant. Keith, look, taking you back a little bit, just because I know we're jumping around a little bit here, but a friend of mine recently purchased the box sets of the BFI Children's Film Foundation films.
Oh, yeah.
And you appeared in a couple of them. I think one of them was called like Charlie's Magic Shoes or something like that. I can't quite remember. Can you tell us a little bit about those? Because I know that they were played as sort of pre-features to main films in the cinema, weren't they?
They were, yeah. These were great things to do. In fact, I cut my teeth really on those. The first one, I did 4.
Sorry, what sort of years time frame?
1974, 1975, 1976.
Right, okay.
And literally the wages were £5 a day.
Wow.
Everyone got that as kids, you know. I loved doing them. I loved it because I hated some of the stuff I had to do. I mean, the first thing I did was a thing called Robin Hood Jr. And Robin Hood Jr., Keith Jayne was Robin Hood. I
Right.
was Will Scarlet. And I had to ride a horse. I mean, it was only like 4'2" or something at the time. And I had to do all these stunts on the horse. And of course, you know, when you go to an audition, guys, you don't say no. You know, if they say, can you fly to the moon? Yeah, you know, no problem. You know, can you roller skate? Yeah, right. Yeah. So you say all that. And then, of course, you get the job and they get found out. You know, I went to learn on a bloody pony called Lucasade. And when I got there, the thing was this horse was about 14 hands high. I literally needed a stepladder to get on it. I'm not joking. The director, who's a miserable bastard called Matt McCarthy, lovely guy until he started realising that I couldn't actually do what I said I could do at the audition. But I had stunts to do in it. But I pulled it off, you know. And then the second one I did was, I'll tell you who else was in that. It was Andrew Sachs, 40
Oh,
Towers.
wow.
So the things that I loved doing about those shows was that a lot of actors, established actors in those days, just they were even carry-on actors. Julian Holloway was in. People like this would love to do those shows with the kids.
Yeah.
So you learn from them. And I was frequently taken aside by some of these people, and it's a real great training ground, and it was real happy time. So we did Robin Hood Jr. That was quite well received. Then I did The Unbroken Arrow, which was the sequel, but it was a six-parter. So at Saturday Morning Pictures, they would show like one a week. And then I did a thing, you say like Charlie's Magic Shoes, actually called Sammy's Super T-shirt.
That's the one. Charlie's Magic Shoes. Brilliant. Okay.
That actually, if you go onto the Facebook page, there's a still, and it's actually, I'm in the queue in the thing. But that was quite fun. A bit corny, but good fun. But the third one I did was the best one I did, which was the Glitterball.
Right.
And Glitterball was just fantastic to do. I had a great part in it. It was practically a two-hander, really, for 50 minutes or an hour, whatever long the film was. Harley Coppice was the producer and a brilliant guy. And we did all that for 50 grand. Now, that wasn't my wages, which it had have been, but that was the budget. And 50 grand in 77. But flatteringly, that it was actually because of the special effects, not because of mine or Ben's acting. It was down to the special effects. It was actually compared with E.T.
Right,
okay.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you think about it, when you're looking for value for money,
yeah,
it did compare favourably. That was a fun thing to do. But loads of people, Richard, loads of people.
I think the Kemp brothers cut their teeth in a lot of those children film foundation stuff, didn't they? Yeah. Because that's how they started out. I would strongly suggest to our listeners to go onto Amazon or the BFI website and order a couple of those box sets.
I'm interested myself, actually.
Yeah, the Children's Film Foundation films they're little time capsules, aren't they? As well, they're beautiful time capsules.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. There's a great documentary, actually, guys, on the CFF and how it started. And you see clips from many of these shows. That's well worth a watch.
Of Screen Test, which was just at times terrifying, quite bleak. All these little pieces of films that would come in, but my sister and I mention this whenever we talk, and it's like, do you remember Screen Test? Do you remember the one where the kid gets in the car and shouldn't take a lift from strangers and all that sort of stuff?
Did you do any of those public information films at all, Keith?
No, I didn't, but I did do an advert once of kids stealing cars in Westminster. Breaking into them with a screwdriver or something. But no, I didn't do any of those sort of stuff. That sort of stuff. I know plenty of people that did. I've done loads of training films for, things like B&Q and Rank Xerox and all that sort of stuff.
Oh man,
and a few commercials.
Well, just keeping it in the 70s for a little bit, I just want to briefly touch upon another one of my favourite series, which is Secret Army. Can you tell us a little bit about the filming of that, please?
Right. Well, the kids were all great in it. John Narney and Rachel Beasley and me. It was actually quite a good episode. I mean, I'll tell you what, I've been very lucky with the kind of stories I've been involved in.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the programme before I was in it. And, the story was about an airman that had been shot down, and the kids kind of got hold of him and used him as a bargaining tool, really, to get stuff for Christmas. The only thing which I didn't particularly enjoy about the show was the song we had to sing. It was so repetitive. By the end of the credits, I was like to strangle myself, really.
Let's play another track. This is another favourite of my childhood. My first coming-of-age band, without a doubt, Madness. This is House of Fun.
Welcome to the House of Fun. Now I've come of age. Welcome to the House of Fun. Welcome to the Lion's Den. Temptations on its way. Welcome to the House of Fun. Welcome to the House of Fun.
I've got a great story about accents and doing things in the wrong order. I did a thing called the Ludlow Festival, and I put lines in the wrong area. I brought lines forward in the show. Basically, I told this guy that we captured that I was going to cut his head off. I was French and English, right? But obviously, the French, I just moved the lines too forward. I didn't know what I was doing. I told him I was going to cut his head off. But that was going to be for 5 minutes down the lines. So I actually cut 5 minutes out of the show.
Oh,
I've delivered the wrong line. Yeah.
We've all done it.
I've never told someone that I'm going to cut the head off.
I'm thinking more from a theatrical perspective. This is so embarrassing. I did a production of A Few Good Men years and years ago, and I played Sam, who was the Kevin Pollock character in the film. And there's a line right at the end where to the female officer says, Sam, are you going to stick around? And I'm supposed to say, no, I'm going to go home and see my daughter. Now, thank God this was during a dress rehearsal, because I went, no, I'm going to go home and sleep with my daughter.
Oh, no.
Can you imagine if I had said that on an actual performance?
I think
night?
it would have got a good laugh. You could have turned that into a moment of surreal irony.
Yeah, but I would have done some cheeky wink, and it would have looked even more cynical. Keith, tell us about Madness and House of Fun. Why did you choose that track?
I chose it because I did funny enough, people ask, what's the best thing you've ever done in terms of part acting, whatever, and it was this, but it was a play for today, BBC Two, called Wayne and Albert. Arthur English played my granddad, and it was all about a lad. My granddad came from the country, and I was a city lad, very much so. Again, a fantastic cast. And it was Arthur English's first great part, and so he was quite nervous about it, sort of thing. But because I was a bit of a tosser in it, I was playing Madness in my bedroom in his country cottage, sort of thing, right, which disturbed Pete. It was, it was too loud, and so but there were a lot of there was a Madness tape pretty much all of the time, and in the city was very poignant because that's basically where I came from.
Sure, of course.
And so Arthur was banging on the ceiling, turn it down, that type of thing. And of course I would just turn it up. So it was, so I loved all the Madness stuff.
Yeah.
Still do. There was nothing like it, and there hasn't been anything like it.
No, they're an incredible band. Mike Barson was a phenomenal songwriter. Did you know In the City was specifically written for a Honda car adverts, Japan only? There's a video and everything, but it wasn't shown over here.
No, I didn't. Interesting stuff.
You're saying about actors saying they can do things when they actually can't, just to get the gig and what have you.
Didn't you say something you could drive for a job on EastEnders?
Yeah, but that's...
Well, at least you got the gig.
I got the gig and they cut the scene. I got the gig and they cut it. I was livid, absolutely livid. No, but they said about Nicholas Lyndhurst said he could drive when he got the part as the younger son in Butterflies. Yeah, and he said he could drive and he couldn't. And I think he reversed off the drive and nearly ran over a cameraman or something like that.
I was speaking to Gary Shell the other day, and he said that he told people they could drive, and he was driving in some kind of American show or some film anyway. He didn't tell him until later on. He didn't know. That's Gary.
Classic Gary. Classic Gary. This is a question that we ask everybody, and I haven't actually put it on your crib sheet for some strange reason. I don't know why I've not put it on there, because we do ask every single person this question.
Okay.
Keith Jayne, do you have a ghost story?
Ghost story? Yes.
Oh, that'll do.
Brilliant. Right, next question.
Next question. Here's one for you, but this is I'm not kind of a believer in that sort of stuff until something happens. This is it. It's true. When I got the part of the Onedin Line, my granddad had died the month before, and it was his favourite programme, so it was not great timing. But when I got the script, I was up at a BBC TV centre, dodging Jimmy Savile at the time, and I was there reading the script, and I said to Garrett Morris, who was a producer, I said, Mr. Morris, I said, this part of Tom, that's me. And he said, you never know, could be you. I said, okay, well, I said, because my granddad's name was Tom, and this was his favourite programme. And he said to me, better read it, boy. So I read it, and I thankfully got the part. And we were filming it down in Falmouth. Part of the reason I live in Cornwall now. I had some time off one day. I don't know why, probably with the weather dependent, some of the filming. Because you're on the ship going 5 miles out to sea, trying to dodge the flight paths, because it's a period piece. I had a sports car at the time. I was coming down the hill, not that fast. Suddenly the steering had gone, and it went to the left-hand side and up into someone's driveway. And do you remember the old yellow BT vans, the yellow telecommunications vans, right?
Yeah.
And so I pulled up there, and as I pulled in, this yellow commer van came bouncing off edges and flew past me, right? Suddenly, the steering wheel became flexible again, but it wouldn't move until that had gone past. And there was a hand on my shoulder like this, right? And it's kind of saying, you can go now, sort of thing. Now, I know that sounds crazy.
Is it your granddad looking after you?
Possibly. There's no vodka in here, I promise you. No vodka in this, boys. But that's the only time. Thing. I did a show called The Innocent. I did a theatre thing called The Innocents, which is a Henry James thing adapted from The Turn of the Screw. Great cast in that. And that was a ghosty type thing, but I never really got spooked by it. Yes, that's a real story.
Oh man, are you quite a spiritual person, Keith? Do you believe that there's not from a religious aspect, but do you believe that there's a bit more to life than just this, just flesh, blood, the end, see you later?
It's hard to think that there isn't, especially if you've still got aspirations, things that you want to do. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but there's so many people that don't get to do what they want to do, and I'm lucky because I don't want to tempt fate, but I've had a great life. I've been very privileged. A lot of it's been a bit shit, but most of it has been really happy, and I've been very privileged. But there are some people I think that would probably think there must be more to this. That people less fortunate than ourselves, etc. You just hope that they can enjoy something in the future, whatever that may be. Is that what you believe, boys?
No one's ever thrown the question back at us before, and that's quite lovely, actually.
I think we've spoken about it quite openly on a lot of episodes, because I don't have a faith, but neither do I believe in paranormal, etc. But that's because, as John always says, you've never experienced something. When you do, then you might start thinking differently.
Yeah.
I do believe in some kind of power, and some kind of influence, some kind of universal strength, but I wouldn't be able to explain it, but I feel something.
I definitely say that we have some sort of energy about us as human beings. I have experienced things that have shaken me to the very core. I've experienced things that have been very, very enlightening and quite beautiful. I'd like to believe that there's a bit more to life than this. OMD, Enola Gay. It's an anthem right up there. It set the standard in 1980. Tell us why you chose it, Keith.
It's poignant with me because there's a real big meaning to that, isn't there?
Yeah. Drop the atomic bomb.
It was, yeah.
Atomic bomb, yeah. That's not why I chose it. I chose it because when I was doing Murphy's Mob, I was staying with we were filming at the first 2 years. I don't know if you guys watched it, but it was about a football club, Dunmore United. The first 2 years we filmed at Elstree, where the EastEnders is filmed. In the third and fourth years, because ATV was closing down and Central TV was taken over, we had to relocate. So not only did we have to relocate, but we had to recast a lot of the kids, because I was the eldest, there's a shock, but a lot of the kids were under 16.
Right.
And so you couldn't actually relocate them because their schools were down in London. But anyway, consequently, I had the good fortune to be filming at Onedin Line in Nottingham, Central TV, and my auntie and uncle and cousins lived in Nottingham. So I stayed with them, and my cousins, this was the only thing that they could play on the organ. So,
oh, brilliant.
At the time was, yeah. That's right. Yeah. I loved that in those days. It was great. And also I was working with, in the studio, we were next to things that you will automatically associate with the 80s. There was Blockbusters in one studio.
Yeah.
We had Spitting Image in another studio. We had The Price is Right in the other studio. And right next door to us was our Weirdest Own Pet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, awesome.
Which is how we got hold of Gary Oldton.
Right.
Yeah.
For the Murphy's Mob thing.
Yeah, of course.
So it was brilliant. But my God, there was a lot of drinking going on during those rehearsals. Because I could only work for a few hours a day.
Yeah.
But Keith, here it is for me, man. So, 1984, Peter Davison's last series as Doctor Who. He is, without doubt, my favourite Doctor. I loved Baker to bits. Everybody thinks Baker's the man, but I think things were getting tired, and when Davison came along, it breathed a new life into the show. And his final season in 1984, which began filming in 1983, was his strongest season, in my opinion. And it was a real shame because he'd made a decision to leave, and then all these great scripts started appearing. Warriors of the Deep, Frontiers, then it was The Awakening, just taking people up to where we are. The Awakening, a two-part story, which to this day, I still don't quite understand what it's all about. They are creating these time slides and they are bringing real-life people back, Keith being one of them,
Right.
to 1984 England.
In their period of time.
Yeah, like
Right.
they're like time slides, but they're being done by this creature called the Malice. It starts becoming real, and the people are becoming affected by it.
Yeah.
Keith, you were in Doctor Who, man. You're my best friend. Tell me about getting that gig, what it was like.
I got the part through a guy called Michael Owen Morris, who'd been one of the production assistants on the Onedin Line.
Right.
And it was Michael's first good gig as a director. I wanted to do it because it was Doctor Who doesn't? But the part was quite challenging, I have to concede, and I've said I was very nervous about it, simply because of the peer pressure. I didn't want to let Michael down by ruining everything. And to play it had a West Country accent, but I really went over the top with it, and that was a bit of a Marmite kind of thing, really. But the part was a good one. It could easily have been 3 and probably 4 part of that was just too much crammed into it, which is why the confusion arose, I think. But my part of Will Chandler came from 1643 up to that point in my career, my usual rags and ragamuffin look. I was always playing some kind of waif and stray, pretty much, and that was no exception. But it was a good part. Again, great people in it. I worked with Dennis Lill again. Polly James was brilliant. Obviously, Mark Strix and Janet Fielding, who's been in, she's Doctor Who, she's Mrs. Who, isn't she? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I worked with Janet on Murphy's Mob as well. It's funny, isn't it, who you actually work with at times, and there's so many different permutations. You can, working with these same people again. I really enjoyed doing that. There was a lot of running round, John, in that. There was a lot of running. It was like, do you remember the Fast Show when the family used to go from left to right?
Yeah.
Right
Come on.
Yeah. So there was all that going on in the studio, dodging Jimmy Savile. And we're all over the place. Some people have said that I should have been in it more. I should have been a companion, which I wish I had been. Christ, it's been great. And one of the other things that happened in that show, there was an outtake in it, which was on Auntie's Bloomers. There was a horse and a cart behind it. It says me, Polly, Peter in the back of the cart. For some of the scene, they built a lich gate in front of the real church. When we turned up, the horse was pulling it. Of course, it didn't stop; it just carried on going. So the cart took the lich gate with it. I have to tell you that I actually got paid more for the outtake than I did for doing the show, because it's shown in so many different places. It was great. Yeah. Had I known the impact. Let's put this into perspective. Like, this is 1983, so we're now 40 years down the line. Okay, I'm still doing conventions, but in a much smaller way. Someone told me once, actually go to the States and do a convention every week. There's that many Doctor Who things going on. And some of the nicest people in the industry are Doctor Who followers. I've actually stood at a convention every September in Derby now, and someone recited all my lines, stood in front of me. Better than I did, better accent than me as well. And I thought, well, hang on, how do they know all this shit? But they, honestly, God, they're brilliant. The things you get asked to sign, I mean, it was crazy. But I loved it. I love all that. And the spin-offs from it as well.
I wonder, Keith, obviously it wasn't lost on you and it was a gig you really wanted. We know now, with history and with nostalgia and with the huge fan groups all over the world, when did that occur to you that you were part of this legacy? Did it not happen for years?
No, I think there was a bit of a lull there, David, to be honest. I think it was a lull because the 60th year has come up, the 60th anniversary has come up, etc., etc. But because I hadn't made myself available, if you say, I mean, I didn't have an agent or whatever, but I did one in Exeter in 1999. It was quite funny, because someone said to me, "You've done conventions before?" And I just said, "Well, no, this is my first one. This is my second one ever." And someone wrote to me, PM'd me and said, "You were in Exeter and so and so." And I said, "Well, was I really?" And then she just sent me a photograph. And she's right, because I was speaking to Colin Baker.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
So it is a bit weird when you can't remember where you were. I was on YouTube the other day looking at something or other, and I thought, oh, I recognise that title. And it was a thing called A Kind of English, kind of Bollywood thing. And I thought, did I recognise this? And I thought, oh, my mate was probably in it. I've got a good mate called Wayne Norman. He played Pickles in Wurzel Gummidge. It was his nephew.
Oh, wow.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I thought, oh, I think maybe Wayne did this. No, it was me in it. I'd only got a small. It was only a small part. I even said to Sam, I said, come here. And not only that, I'd actually dubbed someone else's voice because I could see an Indian guy going into a cab firm, and I thought, that's my voice. So
Brilliant.
it's just bizarre.
I would say that there was probably that lull because The Awakening didn't actually get a home video release until 1998.
Right. So unless you'd seen it on TV.
You're right, actually, John, because I didn't have people saying to me, oh, Keith, I saw you in Doctor Who. That didn't happen as much as, I saw you in, Upstairs Down or Survivors or whatever. There was quite an potentially interesting thing about Stig, which was that there was a series written called Stig on the River to follow up. This is a little known fact, boys. And the reasons that it didn't go into production, we set the time aside to do it. We waited for the reaction to the original.
Mm-hmm.
It was written. Clive King, who was the original author, put pen to paper, come up with this thing. But then he got cold feet apparently because he didn't want to ruin the original.
Right.
Although he's very happy with the adaptation, the original one. Don't forget, this is 1981, and the makeup then wasn't as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was literally covered in gravy browning.
Right.
Right. And they thought, Stig on the River, right? That involves water. That ain't going to work, is it? It's Shirley Bassey and come and be like Stars in Their Eyes and, come out as someone else.
Yeah.
So, that's really one of the reasons why it didn't take off, but it was mooted and went further than that, actually. So it was a shame it didn't come off. I'd have loved to have done it, knowing what I know now. Christ. You're looking very pensive there, John.
I'm just thinking that they should do a Stig sequel with you as you are now.
I'd need to lose about 3 stone. But
would Stig have developed linguistic skills? Would he have evolved?
Might have been a few Uggs.
Yeah.
Maybe he moved on from the Uggs.
Man Uggs.
Man Uggs.
Yeah.
Nikita, is it cold? In your little corner of the world, you could roll around the globe. Never find...
Nick Kershaw played on that, didn't he?
And Mark King and George Michael.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Nikita, Elton John. Tell us your reasoning behind choosing that.
Okay, so when we were filming Murphy's Mob, Mickey Dolenz was the director on some of them. And of course, Mickey Dolenz had also directed Metal Mickey, I think. This is a real weird thing, isn't it? That Mickey Dolenz would actually direct his program like Murphy's Mob. It just didn't seem to fit. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
But what a nice guy he was, because I was much older. I was driving the other kids. You know what I mean? We used to go next door to the pub in the afternoons because the children can only work for so long, like 3 or 4 hours, and they had chaperones. And Ken Hutchison, who played Mac Murphy, established actor, been all sorts of Straw Dogs, and he used to like a drink. There was other guy called Terry Budd that was in it, Rasputin Jones, he was in it. But of course, Ken was great mates with Dennis Waterman. And so there used to be some great kind of lock-ins occasionally. But Nikita was constantly on, remember jukeboxes? Yeah. So as was Jerry Rafferty Baker Street.
Right.
That was going on as well.
78, mate.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mention it, John. I love that track. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I had a specific remit and I kept it. But Nikita, I can remember just, Ken leaning back and trying to stand this stall and singing it and loving it. Linda Bellingham was there as well. Very good people in that show.
I think it's one of Elton John's finest. I really do.
I come from Pinner, which is where Elton John lived, wasn't it? So
yeah, one of Duran is from Pinner. Oh,
Yeah.
No, Nikita's just very sophisticated. The production, the sound,
Yes. Yeah.
and like we said, but you've got George Michael harmonising. You've got Nick Kershaw on guitar, Mark King, Level 42 on bass. It's killer. It's killer.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is good.
What was Peter Davison like to work with as a person? Was he a nice
Easy.
guy?
Lovely guy. Lovely guy. I've worked with him before, but very briefly, I have to say, a couple of times. I thought he was the best Doctor Who. I grew up with John Pertwee, not literally, not in a Jimmy Savile way. But
that's three Savile bombs.
Yeah. Peter's very easy to get on with. And I remember being on location in The Awakening. There was a big fire going on where we were going to be burning the Queen of the May. And I remember Peter turning up in his black Saab on that particular day. And I was thinking, that's who I'd like to be like. And of course, he'd done all great, Creatures and Great and Small, which I love.
Where was that filmed, by the way?
That was filmed at a place called Shapwick in Dorset. But there are two Shapwicks, as we found out when we tried to film Mythmakers in the first Shapwick. Anyway, we had to come back and film it at the proper Shapwick.
Keith, another one of my favourite programmes, and they've been re-showing them on Drama recently, and they've really taken me back to what Saturday nights were all about for me as a kid, because as soon as I heard that particular theme tune, or the end credits of that theme tune, right, bed. Genuinely, it was right, bed.
That was The Professionals for me.
It was Casualty.
Professionals, Professionals.
So you stole an ambulance, you cheeky little scamp. Tell us about that. That was first series as well, 1986, the very first series of Casualty.
Yeah, I like to get in early. Casualty, yes. This is where working with people on the other side of the camera is so important. I got this job through a guy called Mike Brayshaw, and Mike was on the Onedin Line. And no wonder there's 97% unemployment. There's only 3% of actors working. They all know each other.
And they were all in the Onedin Line.
In the Onedin Line, exactly, yeah. Mike Brayshaw asked me to do it. It's as simple as that, isn't it? He said, it's not a great but we'd like you to do it. He said, you're bored. You wander, you're going into hospital for doing something or other. You're bored, you wander around and then think it'd be fun to nick an ambulance. When I take the ambulance, basically, this scene goes into the credits. Take the ambulance, I decide to play around and put the blue lights on, flash the headlights. Now, bear in mind, boys, brand new Mercedes ambulance. These are not cheap vehicles, are they? So I'm a confident driver, but at night we were filming because we had two police cars, like stunt cars either side, trying to track me, trying to chase me, whatever. And I had to drive through. You might not remember this, but on the border of England and Wales, there used to be services called AUST services, AUST services.
No,
thanks, because now I feel really old anyway. But the toll booths weren't very wide, but I had to fit this brand new Mercedes ambulance through these toll booths. Not only that, it was foggy. I had to put the blue lights on at a specific time, and I had to flash the lights at a specific time. And then the two police, the SDI rovers, had to come through that was a nightmare. It took probably 5 to 6 hours to actually complete that scene, because when you went through it, you had to then to drive 3 miles to the next turn off, turn all the way back up. It took forever. Absolute nightmare. So it was a very difficult thing to do, but it was fun.
And you worked with the wonderful Derek Thompson, who has now departed.
Charlie Farrer. Yeah, that's right. Now he's gone.
He's gone from the show after
I was gutted.
4,000 years of being on it.
And I just felt that he went, that's a bit of a weak outing. Stabbed by some chav in a corridor. Very weak parting, It wasn't a bomb explosion or a car crash.
But it was nice to see Josh, the ambulance driver, come back. Yeah. That was a nice touch.
I just didn't think it was realistic enough. I mean, he didn't even have to ring 111, did he? Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly.
He just, and someone was there immediately. I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Waiting A&E for hours.
But if you're a pensioner that falls in the snow, you may as well just hunker down for the night. You're there. Keith, also another medical-based drama before we get on to Murphy's
medical-based scenario.
Before we get on to Murphy's Mob, Angels. Tell us about that.
Angels. Oh, yeah, this is an early part for me. I did 2 things in Angels. This got picked up by some eagle-eyed viewer that said, why has Jayne come back so soon as a different person? But first of all, I played a young lad whose mum had brought me in because had something. I don't know what was happening. I either had the shits or something. But anyway, I went into hospital and they couldn't find out what was wrong with me. But then they discovered that actually it was eating cake. But my mum had brought me in some cake because it was either my birthday or whatever. just to cheer me up, you see. But the nurse, played by Julie Dawn-Cole, also brilliant actress, went to my school. She gave me the cake and then got into the crap because it then made me ill. This then led to, this was in an episode of Appraisal. She then had a fantastic scene. We think it was June Watson with her superior, and brought this issue up with her. But if you watch that episode again, you look at the time of that scene. I'm not sure there were any breaks, but I'm pretty sure it's 15 minutes.
Right.
15 minutes is a theatre scene. That's not a TV scene, right? And she was absolutely brilliant in it. I don't know how I got to return in it, but I did. Maybe I was so forgettable as Nigel Clark came back as Mark Allen. Sorry.
I do see a lot of actors doing that, where they return to a series as somebody else several years later, and in a strange way, nobody notices.
The Casualties are the biggest culprit of that, I'd say. You'd have one bloke playing a Russian captain of a vessel, like a cargo ship or something.
Yeah.
Because Holby's obviously got a docks. It's got everything else. Holby Airport, Holby International Football Team.
Yeah.
Less than a year later, he's back and he's playing like the
dustman.
A dustman, yeah. You know,
it's who you know as well.
Yeah,
I've worked for different directors. I worked for Pennant Roberts 3 times.
Oh, Pennant Roberts,
and if they remember you, you're a lovely man. In fact, when I was thinking about this difficult time in life, I was thinking, well, actually, I wouldn't mind going on the other side of the camera, do a bit of directing or writing. I needed recommendations, and I went to Pennant. I went to Richard Hanford and a couple of other guys for those kind of testimonials, if you like, which got me onto the Beaconsfield course, but I didn't go through with it. There was other things going on in my life at the time.
But Pennant Robert, Doctor Who connection there as well.
Survivors.
Yeah, Survivors as well. Yeah, good friends with Terry Nation.
Yes, yeah, the writer. But Survivors is another thing. It's another cult thing. Do you know, I've been involved with an awful lot of cults in my time, which is great.
Do you consider yourself to be a total and utter cult?
Yes, absolutely.
Gary Shell told us in no uncertain terms that he was the biggest cult we'd ever met.
He'd be right.
I know you've mentioned Murphy's Mob throughout the interview and bits and pieces. You mentioned Gary Holden being in Elvita's Own Pet, in the neighbouring studio, and obviously being involved in the theme tune. But tear that open.
Yeah, go nuts, Keith.
Well, we had found lined up, I think it was a Danish band, to come in and play the theme tune to Murphy's Mob, but they never turned up. The director was, I think it was David Foster. But anyway, he was panicking and thinking, well, where the hell are we going to do that? I think someone suggested, are there any bloody musicians in the studios? For Christ's sake, we need to get this sorted out. Anyway, Gary was on hand to, he said, yeah, I'll do it for you. He did that. And, the thing is that sometimes it's the spontaneity of the way that things happen that make them famous or make things more special than they otherwise would have been. And the theme tune to that is famous for a couple of reasons. One is that, I've just told you about, but the other thing is that one of the reasons I was told that Murphy's Mob hasn't been repeated, it was repeated once, right? But that was it, as far as I'm aware anyway. Which had been repeated more, obviously, but was because of the drugs references to it in it. Now, I read that thing and I can't see any reference to drugs at all, but that's what I was told. One other reference I was told, one other thing, is that because of the manager or the owner of the football club used to smoke cigars in the manager's office. So this is a big no-no, isn't it? When you watch children's TV and you're having a fag. So really, it's out of time now, I think, sadly. And I kind of agree with that. It's a shame because the stories were actually quite good.
I agree.
In Murphy's Mob. The only problem I think was that there was some of it was a little bit repetitive in terms of the speeches, but in terms of the words. But nevertheless, some good characters in that. Wurzel was a good character.
Yeah.
And he and I actually often get mistaken because we both were at the front of the queue when noses were given out.
Did you ever get offered any soaps at all through your agent?
I did a couple of it's in EastEnders, but not really. I tell you what, my only claim to fame with the soaps is that I was actually born the night before Coronation Street started. I was born on it.
Oh, wow.
It started on the 9th of December, 1960, on the 10th. My birthday is exactly the same day as Kenneth Branagh. Whatever happened to him? But
Yeah, whatever.
you know,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, he's
Yeah.
he's in prison at the moment.
Would you say there were any gigs that you didn't get that you were a bit gutted about?
Yes, yeah.
You're raring up for this one.
Oh,
aren't
I'm
you?
raring to go on this one. Yeah,
Yeah, go on.
absolutely. In fact, I've written it down. I've got notes everywhere here. There were a few. I got sorry about that. I got a commercial. I went for an audition, and I got a really big commercial to go to the States. I used to do impressions as a young kid. Just one of the things that used to amuse people to get me out of the trouble and stop me being locked in freezers and thrown over fences and stuff. And I used to do David Frost and went for this audition, and I got the part. And we were going to go out to the States and do this. I don't know what it was for, some kind of travel thing, commercial. And they didn't raise enough money. And so I didn't go, which was a shame. There was another thing, they were doing the American version of Black Beauty. I got a role in that, and they didn't raise the money. And that was going to be done by Jerry Anderson,
Oh, wow.
Thunderbird's producer, Jerry and Sylvia Anderson.
Yeah.
Didn't get that either. There's another bloody thing as well. Let's have a look. Oh, yes, there was.
If anyone needs a drink, Keith's got bitter on tap.
Absolutely. I tell you something else I did. I went for an audition for Vauxhall Cars, General Motors. This was around the CF at time I was doing Robin Hood, right? Booked to do Robin Hood, The Unbroken Hour, the second part. So I went for this job, and they said to me, "This is a big ad, Keith. It's like, so you have to read it. It's for a part of Harry, and it would be the housewife's favourite. You've got to be a good-looking lad." And I thought, well, I haven't really passed in that department, but I can do the cheeky bit. June Collins rang me and said, "Keith, she said, you've actually got this part." And I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, you have got the part." I said, "Oh, that's brilliant." And it was going to be a good pay as well. I thought, "Oh, happy days, here we go." And then she rang me and said, "Oh, Keith, it's June." She said, "I've just realised that you've been double booked." And I said, "Well, of course." She said, "For the Unbroken Hour, you've got to go." She said, "You've already signed the contract for that, so we've got to do so-and-so." For Jesus Christ. Oh, no. Anyway, what happened then, this is a story I was told, obviously, was that another guy I know called Dave John played the part, okay, and he did it brilliantly, and he would have been a lot better than me anyway. The story goes that he did some kind of advert, I think, where he told him he was driving a battered old Toledo. And because they were selling like new Astras and stuff at the time, I think General Motors might have ended up giving him a new car. So I was really gutted, I can tell you. And the last thing, I was even closer to something I really wish I'd been in. And that was, I actually went over to Austria to be in Prisoner of Zenda, Peter Sellers film.
Oh, man.
I had a part, right? And I played the part of servant boy. I didn't care, right? It was great because I met Peter Sellers. Oh, it was a great cast in that. I was over there for like 4 or 5 weeks, I think, waiting for the right weather for this. And Peter Sellers didn't like the bloody lighting on that show. He had the right ump with it. So they cut the scene. So I did all that. I did earn a few bob out of it, but the point was I'd have done it for nothing for crying out loud, And they cut it. So, sick as a carrot. It was heartbreaking.
Bit like John's scene in EastEnders.
That's twice you've brought it up.
Pick her up at 5 o'clock.
No, that wasn't the line. That wasn't the line.
Come on, give us the line.
Come on.
What I'm doing?
And
getting into character.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I'll pick it up later, all right?
Oh, brilliant.
Beautiful.
That was it. And my BAFTA is in the post. We're going to play Keith's last choice of the evening before these two absolute fuckers embarrass me even more. This is Walk of Life by Dire Straits.
Dire Straits, Walk of Life. First choice we've had for Dire Straits on the series.
I'd say so, yeah. What were your reasonings behind choosing that, Keith?
Okay, right. So this was, I didn't realise, but it was the B-side of So Far Away.
Correct.
You probably knew that, I guess, to start with.
I think they ran out of tracks on Brothers in Arms to release.
Yeah.
Because it was, 8-track album? Something like that.
This was played all the time at the same time as Stevie Wonder's "I Just Called to Say I Love You."
Mm.
It was that kind of era. But Walk of Life was played all the time. I'm sorry, it's another Murphy's Mob thing, but I spent 4 years of the 10 in it. And there was also some kind of reference to John Lennon, I think, Walk of Life. But this is played all the time on the way to and from rehearsals at Murphy's Mob. That's really the reason that I picked it. Takes it back to that time. That's what music does, though, isn't it? It takes you back to certain memories, certain times in your life, some of which are quite emotive. And but had I had another choice, it would have been Half a Boy and Half a Man, Nick Lowe. Because that's the kind of place I found myself in.
Oh, of course, yeah.
What year was that released?
79?
No,
78, 79?
that's big
I
period
believe.
for Stiff Records. I'm guessing he was on Stiff.
I really like you, Keith. It's 79, but I'm going to play it. We're going to throw it on. It's going in the show. Don't care. I think that's
And
fair.
it's better than Cruel to Be Kind. So there you go. Now, Luke, you mentioned a little bit at the very, very top of the interview about your agent advising your mum to stop giving the injections and blah, 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 blah. And then we've talked through your career, and then you took a step out of acting. Kind of talk us through that a little bit, because that can't have been easy.
It wasn't easy because it was my chosen profession, my first love, if you like. And it's one of those things where I never even envisaged doing what I did, even quite a long time after the accident. I can only say that when I got onto a stage, first thing I did was Carry On London on stage, but I wasn't fazed by it.
You were on stage first time, unfazed. I guess that's where you felt your calling, and you felt that size wasn't an issue. Height wasn't an issue.
I think people say, weren't you nervous? Weren't you nervous? No, I wasn't. I was more nervous doing TV. And it's normally the other way around. TV, you get another crack at it. But you learn that as theatre, I loved it. When I stepped back from it, it was a difficult decision to do. I got married in the third series of Murphy's Mob, and then I was convinced to move to Wales to buy a cottage there, and that was to kind of get away from it all. And I was then started a business doing CVs for other actors and stuff, and just trying to find stuff to do. And in the end, I just answered an advert, then just kind of got into. And when I went an interview, someone said, "Oh, you're a good people person, then we'll take you on." Took on commission only job, but I was never really a sell it and leave type person. I wanted to build a business, which I've done, and just in the process of leaving now, thankfully, to go back and do the lovely stuff. I remember going into someone's house, talking to them about retirement, etc. And there was a girl sat on a sofa, and she was looking at me and looking at her dad, and Murphy's Mob was on TV. And she said, "You look very like that playing boxer in that thing." So I said, "Oh," because I wasn't that much older then, really. Didn't look that much older. I could hardly bloody deny it, especially when my name came up on the screen at the end of it.
Right.
And her dad, the only time it ever has been a disadvantage to me was when her dad said, "So how do we know we're not acting now?"
Oh, no.
Honestly.
Wow.
Honestly. So they didn't become clients or anything. But I mean, most of the clients I have now, I've had for 30 years.
Right.
I'm now doing pensions for their children and, dare I say, grandchildren. So I've served my time in that profession, I think. I've always wanted to go back and do what I'm doing. But as I say, it's not something you can just leave. People are paying you to
look after them,
advise them.
Yeah, of course.
One of my all-time heroes, and someone I've always said I must write a book about him, is Peter Butterworth.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Do you remember any times?
Yeah. Miserable bloke.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Oh,
That's the way I
no.
remember. Yeah. Sadly, sorry to piss on your chips, but if I just said to you, "No, he's a lovely guy," I'd be lying. I mean, he wasn't like that with all the boys, really. I love watching him. He's very funny, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right. We're a great part of the Carry On team, but speak as you find. Sid James was lovely. Barbara Windsor was brilliant. So was Bernard Bresslaw. Me and a few lads from school. Barbara Speaks had a song with Sid James called Our House.
The ceiling still
May
leaks.
leak. The floorboards
Floors
make
may
creak.
creak.
There's a door hanging
Hanging
off
off
of
of the
the sideboard.
sideboard.
Our
Our house.
Yeah.
There's a little love in every corner.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, it was great.
Love it.
Good God, that's it.
That's the original programme.
No, I'm not lying. Jack Douglas was in it. How the hell have you got that?
Because he hasn't had a life.
God, blimey, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Listeners, He's just handed the original programme up to the screen. And,
Yeah,
nice.
Carry On London at the Victoria Palace. I'm gonna have to open it. I'm gonna have to open it. I'm not.
Don't open it.
Oh, don't open it. You'll ruin it.
It's all right.
You've just lost £5 by opening it.
In 1974, that would be about right. Why the move to Cornwall? It's somewhere I've holidayed for most of my life.
You sort of you've obviously done filming down that way.
I loved it when I was working here. I got back from filming the Onedin Line. There were no mobiles in those days. And when I got home, this never happens. All the editions were in London normally. June had rung my home and said, Keith's got an audition. You've got to go back to Cornwall tomorrow because you've got an audition at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
I had to go back to Penzance. That's weird. To come back, and it's an 8-hour journey then.
Yeah.
8:30. So I had to go back, and I got the part.
Oh man.
And this is a thing called Last Summer's Child with Billy Whitelaw and Anthony Bate. It was quite a nice little part, playing a little fisherman, Cornish fisherman. I sounded Irish, to be fair, but it was Cornish. Brought up
They're
in
very
Cornwall.
close, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've kind of been drawn here, if you
Some
like.
things
And
are
then
just meant to happen, aren't they?
what was meant to happen, Dave, was my dad was a policeman, as I've mentioned, and at the age of 43, he had a severe heart attack, and so much so that the chief medical officer for the Met Police said to him, "Your days are over, time to be in the police," sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd always said to Mum, if ever the post office and stores comes up for sale in St Morgan, which is kind of between Newquay and Padstow on the North Cornwall coast, we've got to get it. In those days, I'm not sure if it's still around now, but there was a paper called the Dalton's Weekly, and all the businesses used to be in that across the UK. It was incredible that it was for sale when Dad was recuperating. And so when he got his payment from the police, good behaviour, they bought it. They bought it in Cornwall. Of course, I used to then go down and see them and help them in their shop, and the post office and stuff. That wasn't the days of the Horizon scandal.
No.
It was slightly before then. Ultimately, because my mum and dad weren't in great health, we decided that we would move here, and then make sure to try and offer them some help. My sister Debbie was down here as well.
Right.
She had the other shop. My son Tom lives down here now, and so that's kind of why we are in Cornwall. And it's a kind of thing that they say that once you move, you don't move away.
Agreed.
But have you come down here then, David? Have you been?
I've never lived down there, but like John, I've holidayed and Padstow, Foy, all sorts of places. And I'm right in thinking, I think it's Liskeard.
Yeah, Liskeard
has the oldest post office in the country.
It may well have. Yeah.
I visited it, and it's plaqued up, and it's ancient, it's medieval, but it's post office and still operative.
I still maintain that St Ives is one of the most beautiful places in the UK.
If you can park there, John, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And it was just absolutely lovely. But my parents holiday at the Watergate in Newquay. That's where they always go.
My son worked at the Watergate Bay, and
did he really?
that's a great place. I'll tell you what, as you come down the coast road towards Watergate Bay from Porth, from kind of Newquay, that is probably one of the best and the most scenic places you can see in Cornwall. Yeah. We're very lucky that we live where we do, I must admit. But nowadays, with as much as I'm trying to get back into, or be trying to get back into the business, it doesn't matter where you live. So you used to have to really live in and around London, really, to be honest. But my agent is in Cardiff. Good. It doesn't really matter where your agent is either.
You've got it all. It sounds like you're living the dream, Keith. Really.
I've been lucky to be involved with a lot of people that I've worked with. I mean, you still keep in touch with these people. I think half my problem is going to be that some people are shocked that I'm still around. When all that news broke, I was being sent cards, sympathy cards, and notes and.
Oh, so people assumed that was your fate, basically.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. It was. There didn't seem to be much doubt about it. But not only am I alive, but I'm also happy to be back involved in it again.
Yeah, of course.
Keith, you're coming back to the world of acting, which is amazing. And
well, I haven't yet, but I have in a way. But I've done a little short film called The Creep with Terrible Films.
Keith, we're glad you're not dead.
That makes three of us.
It's been so good.
Yeah.
And
so I know we've said it a lot, but it's actually happened very few times where I feel like I've properly plugged into my childhood, like in a really resonating way.
Oh, that's great.
It's been really lovely. And what's really great as well is that you're not done. You've got tons to do, and you will do it. I know you will.
Well, I hope so.
What advice would you offer to a young actor who's just starting out, who might want to listen to this?
I would say to them, believe me, I wish I'd done this. Education, get something behind you, at least get something else that you can fall back on. Because if you haven't got that, you've just got to be prepared to be unemployed for long periods of time. Just try and be nice to people on the way up, because I've met a few coming down,
Keith Jayne, you've been amazing.
Thank you so much for your time. And,
that's all right. It's been a pleasure, guys.
I think we should play out with your chosen track of Nick Lowe.
Okay.
Small
half man, half boy.
Small man, big child.
Half man, half biscuit.
Charlie and the chocolate bootlaces. What was it called?
Half a boy and half a man.
Yeah, that'll do.
That'll do.
And it's just for you, mate.
Hopefully we'll meet up in person and have a beer at some point.
Certainly will.
That'll be lovely.
Guys, I've really enjoyed it. It's been great.
Oh, thank you so much.
Wicked.
I've no doubt if we had a couple of beers in front of us, we'd go on all night. But it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah,
I'm very grateful for giving the opportunity, to be honest. So
we're grateful that you said yes.
Yeah, great.
Simple as that.
Right, yeah. Where are you guys anyway?
Chelmsford in Essex.
Oh yeah, I know Chelmsford. Yeah.
Don't judge us for that though.
Okay, guys. Thanks very much for your
Thanks,
time.
Keith.
All right,
Cheers, Keith.
all the best to you.
He's been Keith Jayne. We've been the Small Town Boys. Thanks very much.
Be seeing you.
Bye bye.